Hey, everybody, it's Eric live. Oh, sorry, not live. Alongside Rod with our Big Ten Tournament quarterfinal post-game show sponsored by Fanduel Sportsbook. Fanduel, of course, should be your go-to source for betting on the sports you love to watch, whether it's a parlay or you just want to stick to the money line. You find all the odds you need on the Fanduel app. Easy to download. You can get started right away. It is tournament time, of course. So there are about 1 million different bets over on Fanduel for every game. So head on over there right now. Get started. They'll even throw a little bit of extra 1-to-1. You can also vote in the We'll check to see what we have for the FanDuel player of the game. Of course, that's on Slido. That will be on all the time. If you go to check later on other games. So quick reminder to hit like and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hype the video too. I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, so no live post-game show. If you want to support the show, head on over to our support page to find the necessary links. That's at tffinots.com/support. Monthly supporters on Patreon and Substack get an ad-free audio version of the show. Okay, Rod, I was patiently waiting through 13 Big Ten tournament games. I got to be honest, a little disappointed when I waited all the way until Friday night to witness as MSU falls to UCLA 88-84 in the quarterfinals in their only appearance in the Big Ten tournament this time. Powered behind another fantastic performance from Donovan Dent, who not only controlled the pace of the game, but was effective from behind the arc even, which is something he hasn't done much. The Bruins even hit 13 of 27, 48% of the game behind the arc, which seems really fitting since that's what Michigan State kind of did to them in East Lansing the timeout before. After Michigan State got out to a little bit of a lead early in the first half, UCLA took control, led by double digits pretty much midway through the first half, up 11 at the half, 44-33. And then not really until the last few moments of the game did the game tighten up. Every time the Michigan State made a push, getting out of 7 or 5 or 4, the Bruins responded to the big shot. I mean, they're very impressive in that sense. And, of course, I'm sort of bearing the lead here a little as UCLA lost arguably their best player in Tyler Bilodeau at the end of the first half to a knee injury. I assume they're without him at least the remainder of this tournament. And next week, it's unsure to me as he had a gigantic ice pack on his knee, and we'll see, I guess.
They'd better be, otherwise Mick Cronin should be fired for coaching malpractice. He's got nothing at stake. Why would you play him?
Yeah. Well,
he should not play.
That goes for the Big Ten tournament in general, right? I mean,
yes.
It's interesting because, I think about, and I don't know that it really matters, but I feel like every team besides one team goes into the NCAA tournament on a losing streak. And so it's just kind of, Michigan State will go have a 2-game losing streak because they lost, of course, last game against Michigan. They end up falling 25-7 overall for the season, awaiting a first round opponent in the NCAA tournament, which either a 15 or 14 seed. UCLA, of course, moves on to play Purdue in the next round. But, as we mentioned, I cannot imagine Tyler Bilodeau's been playing unless he was tweaked his knee. But I mean, it was a massive ice pack on there. And I don't know. I mean, I guess he wasn't in a brace or something, but, kind of a.
Yeah, it didn't look to me from the way he was moving.
I never saw the injury.
Well, I'm talking about the way he walked out. We saw footage of it, him walking out of the tunnel and everything. I'm no doctor, obviously, but it didn't look to me like the kind of thing that would derail him from playing next week. Now, I don't know that for sure, but that would be my assumption. So that's why I'm saying if you're Mick Cronin, no way. Two reasons that there's no way on God's green earth you should play him tomorrow or Sunday if they get that far. One is that there's no reason in the world to risk his health. For no upside really.
Right.
Because trust me, at that school, a Big Ten tournament championship banner, are you kidding me?
They would have room in the rafters for
it. That's the first thing. The second thing is UCLA played. Now, they were playing well when he was in the lineup, but what they were running out there poses big problems, and it was part of the issue for Michigan State, I believe. All those guards, that's hard to chase around, and I'm gonna bet that Purdue, a team that has struggled defensively for most of this season, is going to have some problems with it. Now, can UCLA do the damage as a result of that they did tonight? Can they hit those shots? We'll see. But they're a good shooting team. It wasn't a surprise that they hit wide open shots. I would say this. One big issue for Michigan State was something we talked about as a key in both of these UCLA games, and both times they failed miserably. And I don't have a good answer why. Michigan State was terrible, terrible from two, and especially right at the rim. They might have hit double digits in missed layups. They were at least 8 at one point in the second half. That is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. You can't.
Yeah, they're 6 for 18. So that's 12 misses.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So it got way into double digits. Yeah. That's disgraceful. You can't do that. That's one problem. All the other problems were defensive.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think there were two primary issues, not the only issues, but two primary ones. One was UCLA, by playing all those guards together. I mean, they frequently had 4 guards and Eric Daly out there.
Right. Yeah.
That's not small ball. That's Munchkin ball. Okay.
Mid-major ball.
It creates a problem because your guards aren't used to, and I'm not making excuses, trust me, but it's a fact. Michigan State did not go into that game thinking their guards were constantly going to be dealing with guard on guard pick and roll stuff. Right. And they struggled Robbie Hummel would not shut up about it. He was absolutely right. They were horrible in dealing with slips out of that screening action from guards. So that was problem one, which, again, not an excuse. You have to be better than that. But it was unusual. If you're inclined to be going at Izzo saying, why weren't they prepared for this? Well, I don't think he saw a game where Bilodeau was sitting and it was Daly and the guys from Munchkin. I don't think he saw that coming. I wouldn't have. But the second problem was not that. The second problem was they had no answer at all in terms of denial of dribble penetration.
Yep.
To the extent that it's probably the worst display I can remember in years. I can't even remember the last time it was that bad. Now, give Donovan Dent credit. Donovan Dent, I hate to say I was kind of a prophet in this, but I did identify him as the guy to worry about. And I did mention he's been playing better. Well, he was fantastic tonight, but Michigan State didn't put up nearly enough resistance. Jeremy can't play that way. He can't. It creates, with all the other issues they've got in terms of their guard group defensively, which I've been talking about for weeks, they cannot have their best defender also have a below average game.
Sure.
And then the bigs were not good either. I mean, they didn't, when UCLA was running conventional top of the key, big on point guard pick and roll action, the bigs were not helping much. Yeah. There were a lot of mistakes in this game. And again, a good player forced some of those, but I don't care. You got to be better than that. You have to be. So that's where Michigan State lost this game. If you look at Michigan State's offensive performance, it's good. I mean, you could take issue, I guess, with the 12 turnovers a little bit, but that's not a crazy bad number. That's not a number that gets you beat typically, not by itself. Right. 11 for 23 on threes. You can't ask for more than that. You can't.
No.
17 for 22 at the line. Solid. Not spectacular, but certainly within the realm of both in terms of getting there and the conversion rate. No problem there.
Yeah.
23 second chance points on 16 offensive rebounds. That's productive. So they did, and it's weird because watching that game, I had 0 sense they were that good.
I looked at the stats afterwards. I was shocked that it was that much because I felt like UCLA had a number, but they only had like 6.
UCLA got
they were the big
every
ones.
Big rebound they needed.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that way statistically. So all of those things, the one thing you could pan Michigan State for, and it was a serious problem, was the 2-point conversion rate was abysmal, as we talked about. But overall, offensively, I can't say that it was the kind of performance that should get you beat. I can say that defensively, it's absolutely the kind of performance that can get you beat. So I don't know. I don't get worked up about Big Ten tournament results generally, no matter what happens. I just don't, and I'm on record. The guy I feel sorriest for in all of this is you, because you got to sit through 2 more days of this.
I,
Yeah, I know
I
you have
hear
other
you.
reasons for it, but I'm just talking about watching this thing and
Yeah.
Michigan State in and out. I mean, I went to the very first one of these, and big regular season Big Ten champion Michigan State got upset in the quarterfinals, their first game by Minnesota. And it was just, it was dead after that. I'm like, okay, there's no reason to be around for the rest of this. I don't
Right. Yeah.
do it differently, but I do feel for you.
Yeah.
But it was, it's not something I get all that upset about. I don't think it means anything in and of itself for next week. It doesn't, because some of the reasons they struggled tonight were concerns I would have had no matter what happened in this game, which is primarily, what do they do about their perimeter defense? Because
Yeah.
it has backslid from the moment Divine Ugochukwu went out with that injury, with that foot injury. That is the moment you could point to and say, from that point forward, Michigan State has not been the same team defensively. And it's primarily, not entirely, I'm not letting Coop and Kohler and Cam off the hook, but primarily it's about the fact that they've got a freshman who can have some defensive moments and can be disruptive, but also at times, and unfortunately, increasingly, I'll say this: whoever the listener was who asked about Jordan hitting the wall a couple weeks back, and I said no very flippantly. I don't think he's hit the wall, because he's contributed some things, but he has not been playing at the same level that he was.
Yeah.
The
I think that's true.
defensive inconsistency in particular is showing up more frequently now. And then from there, you get to Wojcik, who has physical limitations. And then you have Trey Fort and Kurtang, who just can't guard at all.
Yeah.
So how Michigan State, and add into that Cohen Carr, who's playing perimeter minutes, who has been the second best defender, but that's damning with faint praise, because it's not like he's been locked down.
Yeah.
So they've still got the same issue that I would have said on Sunday night, and whenever we get into details about their matchup next week. No matter what happened in this tournament, even if they won it, my concerns would still be the same. It's that's the concern. That's the big, big, big concern. If they have the wrong draw where they end up with either a dynamic pick and roll point guard who's surrounded by a lot of shooting, so kind of what UCLA did tonight, or think about Wisconsin.
Yep, exactly.
Or a team like, dare I say it, Rutgers, that has maybe doesn't have all that shooting, but has multiple dynamic guards. They've got at least 2 guys that can make things happen off the dribble, get into the paint, create their own shots, that kind of thing. That's what I'm going to be concerned about. And, that's what you have to worry about in terms of their draw come Sunday. Do they end up, because here's the thing, the odds of them, whether they're playing a 15 or a 14, and given today's results, I guess I'm still inclined to think they're a 2 seed, barely. Thank God Illinois lost.
Right.
Because if Illinois had won, it was over. And then again, I don't even know. I say thank God. I don't even know how much it matters. I really don't.
Yeah.
Between a 2 or a 3, as long as they don't really get reamed by the committee and end up a 4, we're good either way.
Yeah.
But regardless, whether they're playing a 15 or a 14 seed, the odds of that kind of team having a front court dominated team that kind of gets it done in rebounding and post play, very low odds. Very
exactly.
low.
Yeah.
But the chances that they run into a team at that level, that seed line, that has some guards that can do some things, yeah, that worries me.
Oh yeah, so, for sure. Yeah, small teams. Yeah, lots of pesky guards.
We got to see how it ends up on Sunday, but that's the concern. And it would have, as I say, it would have been the same no matter what the result of this one was. That wasn't changing. It's just you happen to see it be a big, big, big problem in this game. It just highlighted what's already been a concern, in my view, for weeks. Is that? I would also say this. I thought that despite the fact the rebounding game went the way it did, it changed a little bit for me in the second half. But in the first half, I just thought Michigan State got out toughed.
For sure.
I thought
I was saying the same thing. We talked about how they weren't a physical team, and yet they were definitely getting out physicaled in that first half.
They did things they haven't done all year, which credit to them for doing that. But if you're Michigan State, you have to respond to that. And it took them a half. It took them a whole half before they really started to respond to it. And that's disappointing. Yeah. And, like Izzo likes to say, we're at the point, especially now, the my bads are over. It's right. Done. There's no time for that anymore. You my bad yourself right to an early vacation from here on out.
Yeah, and I would not to have the sour grapes, but it's sort of like, it again, it's not that big a deal that they lose this tournament. I don't think anybody cares that much about it. And in some ways you don't mind the rest, especially since you have got a depleted.
That's one silver lining.
Yeah, and everyone came out healthy, which we'll talk about later too. But
Jeremy Fears played 37 minutes tonight. I don't think it would have been a good idea for him to have a similar game tomorrow. Yeah. I don't think that's ideal. Wouldn't have been the collapse of the world unless they had to do it again on Sunday after that. But
right,
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So that's what I mean. I'm not particularly, I'm irritated by the way they played because it was Michigan State playing in a game. I would be irritated if they played that way in an actual exhibition game, which this is just barely more important than.
Right.
But I would be, because you want to see them play well, right? And they didn't. But in terms of what it means, I've seen Michigan State Big Ten regular season championship teams losing this thing in their first game.
Right.
I've seen teams that went to Final Fours. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. You could win this tournament and then also win in the NCAA tournament, and we've seen that happen. You can lose early in this thing and go on a run. You can win the Big Ten tournament, like I believe Michigan State did in 2016, right? And then go out and lose to a 15 seed. We've seen that.
Right.
And we've seen them go out early in this thing and also go out early in the real tournament. So what that should tell you is there is no correlation. They are separate events entirely. They are not, one does not beget the next.
And you've gone already. We finally made it to the end of the season and we use the term beget. So we can move on to
I'm getting
one place you have. Well, if you're worried about biblical rain, you may want to make sure you have functioning gutters.
That's a good segue.
Make sure those gutters are working well, and there's no better person to call than the brother. Whether it's a brother on the west side or the east side of the state, the Brothers Suggest You Gutters should be your go-to call when it comes to taking care of that pesky water that causes all kinds of problems, your foundation or your house or your business. Whether it's a one little run of a gutter or you got to have them all replaced, repaired, whatever it might be, they can take care of it. They'll get on the ladder so you don't have to. They don't do anything besides gutters, so make sure you contact them since they will do the best job, and they'll get you 10% off simply by mentioning Final Four. And how do you get a hold of them? Of course, you're going to get it through a link on our support page at tffinots.com/support. And don't forget to get the discount. All right, so the player that Michigan State had to keep in the gutter was Donovan Dent, and clearly they did not. He scored 23 points. He's 8 for 18 shooting, 3 for 5 from three. And I will say too, on his 3-point shooting, he's been struggling of late. Although you mentioned, he's getting a little bit better. That first one that went bounced like 6 feet straight in the air and then came through. It's funny how those things just get guys. And I mean, this is a guy who shot 40% last year. So it's not like it's totally insane that he goes 3 for 5 today. But that's sort of like just what he had to see it go through. And that made the dribble penetration so much harder to contain, I think, because now he was a threat from outside where he wasn't the first time in East Lansing, where he was, passing up shots. I mean, he had plenty of open threes against Michigan State in East Lansing and just didn't even attempt them. And so it made him so much harder to guard in that pick and roll. Just gonna go through the light stats real quick. So 4 for 5 from free throw line, 6 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 steals. I mean, the one was the end. It didn't really matter much, but no blocks. The only silver lining to his performance is that I had picked him for my fantasy team, fantasy Big Ten tournament fantasy team. I actually had him and Perry as the guys I got stuck with. So I obliterated my family. I'd much rather, of course, I'd much rather have lost that and Michigan State have won, but it is what it is.
He played extremely well. And I will say, because I've been talking about it at different points all year, he had been, for my money, in terms of expectations and rumored dollar values to performance, maybe the biggest disappointment in the country. It doesn't mean he was the worst transfer in the country, far from it, but I'm just saying this is a guy who they thought was an All-American. Yeah. And he somehow made the honorable mention All Big Ten team. I don't know how that happened. Honestly. I mean, his counting stats were good, but he did not have even that good a season. But today he was an All-American.
Yeah.
And he was an All-American last night too. So if he is going to be this guy the rest of the way, hey, UCLA's got a shot to win a couple games, assuming Bilodeau is healthy.
That's of course.
They absolutely have a shot with that point guard. They have a shot. That's why, yes, Michigan State was terrible in their ball screen defense, but let's not make it entirely about what Michigan State didn't do, because some of it was what Donovan Dent did, which he was outstanding. His decision-making was on point the entire game. So that was there. And that's largely been intact this year. But as you say, when shots are falling and you maybe have to start guarding him a little bit differently now, it makes him even more effective in terms of creating. And he was really good. I mean, what was he? He was, not as good as I thought. He was only 5 for 13 on twos, but man, it seemed better than that to me watching it. He was just very, very tough to deal with, and Michigan State didn't do a damn thing to slow him down. That's the part that I was most disappointed with out of a plethora of defensive issues, honestly, for me, was Jeremy Fears not being able to do a better job of squaring him up and containing him. Because that's where a lot of the trouble started. Yes, you need your help to be there on time and to be playing it properly. And yes, you need the guys that might be pinching in to be able to get back to their guy who's on the arc. You need those things too, but it starts with Jeremy, and he's the one guy you count on out of that group.
Right.
And if he's not delivering, then you get what we got tonight.
Yeah. Jeremy picked up a couple of cheapies in the game, which I think limited his effectiveness too, especially late in the game.
That was a factor. Foul trouble was a factor.
But, that's on him as well, right?
And even so, you got to do it, man. There's no other option. There's no other answer. There's no good defensive guard besides him right now. So it's him or nobody.
Well, that brings us to who cleans the glass best. And actually, once we get done with talking about this real briefly, I don't know. I didn't even pay attention, to be honest, since it's over. You had Kohler and Ward. So let's see. Ward had 4. So you had 11, and then Cooper and Carr had 15. So I would have won. So a Pyrrhic victory. Let's go through the actual individual players. We forgot to do that. I think something was...
I didn't forget. You go ahead. I was just fine with passing on, but go ahead.
Well, let's just talk about briefly. So Kohler, 7 points, 2 for 6 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. He had the 2. I don't even know if he scored in the first half. I think maybe he had it with 7 boards, 2 assists, played 26 minutes. He made that shot late. Pretty ineffective, I think, overall. This is probably not not the way he wanted to finish
because he's been playing very well lately. And there was a feeling I had that, okay, maybe Jackson's becoming that consistent performer that he was for the first, 2.5 months of the season. Well, this one derailed that. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get back on the beam next week. But not a good game, not good defensively, just not good. Not what they need him to be. And I think he'd probably be the first one to tell you that.
And Jeremy Fears, of course, we talked about his defensive things. He had issues. He had 21 points. He was actually very efficient defensively, 7 for 14 from the field. 2 for 3 from three, 5 for 5 from the line, a rebound, 13 assists. Unfortunately, 4 turnovers, had a steal. The one thing I think that you can take encouragement out of this game too is his 3-point shot seems really. I mean, it seems very reliable at this point. Like I don't feel like when he's launching it like it was earlier this season. So that seems like it's a better weapon that he really, truly has.
He's got more confidence in taking it. I think that's obvious. When it's not like he's going to do the Kurtang thing and take a contested shot. But if he's open, he's taking the shot.
And there's a value to that.
Shots.
Yeah.
So it has an effect that I think can be similar to what you were talking about with Donovan Dent tonight.
Right.
Where if he makes a couple, well, then does the other team feel they've got to guard him differently? Maybe so.
Exactly.
I mean, Jeremy, look, you look at the line, and there's a lot that's good there. 21 and 13 is nothing to sneeze at, and relatively efficient shooting.
Yeah.
And he got 5 free throws, which was okay. I do think this, though. I thought in the first half, he was not nearly as dynamic as they needed him to be. Michigan State was really settling for trying to feed the post, and they were just abysmal at doing that effectively. And that's on both the post feeders and the post players, the big guys down low. Both of them in concert were awful. And so I thought that was a problem. I would have liked to have seen Jeremy himself looking to press the issue, maybe get Dent in foul trouble. That might have been nice to have Dent sitting some tonight. We never got there because Jeremy didn't put him under enough pressure until the game was, in desperation mode. And then we started to see that. But the defensive end prevents this from being a game that you could say, well, yeah, he was good. He did some good things. I don't think he's going to feel like this was a good game from him.
Yeah. So Jordan Scott, 7 points, 2 for 7 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. Hit his 1 free throw, 4 rebounds, 1 of them offensive, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, a block, a steal. Struggled. It's just sort of like it's sort of the way he's been for the last couple of games. He's just not been quite.
The defensive struggles. The defensive struggles were there tonight, but he was one of a cast of thousands on that front. So it's not just him. But he's not. The point is, at different times, he's looked like he might be something of an answer for their issue of having a second good defensive guard.
Yeah.
It's not that tonight at all.
Just been, unreliable.
The turnovers, the decisions that Michigan State's guards made. I mean, Jeremy had 4 as well, but his were not the same caliber of mistakes.
Well, Jordan didn't have 13 assists.
Jordan and Kurtang only had 2 turnovers, but he had a couple of doozies.
Yeah.
Those guys it was an awful performance in that area of the game. And, and I think Jordan's been, by and large, very effective in terms of post feeding. Arguably their best post feeder, period, since Michigan State makes post entry passes almost always from the wing. So it's usually not Jeremy making them.
Right.
He's been really good. He was not really good tonight. So that was a problem. I love Jordan. I love his game. I love the way he competes. He did all of that. So he competed hard. He go back to when Michigan State got it to 2 and he intentionally fouls.
I thought it was like, what
I mean, they had enough time. They could have played it out.
Yep.
Defend it. Now, the way they were defending, what were the odds they were going to get a stop? I don't know.
Well, they might have missed.
But you'd like to take your chances. You'd like to take
your
chances with that rather than putting, I don't even remember, was it Perry? He fouled.
Yeah, Perry went to the line,
hit both. And it's just like, you take your chances with a defensive stand.
Right.
So he's having some moments, he and Cam both, some freshman moments showing up late in the season. And like I say, I shouldn't have been as dismissive of that listener who asked that question a couple weeks ago, because I think with both of those guys, they had moments, particularly Cam, had a couple really solid weeks that culminated in a really good game against Purdue. And then it's been 3 straight where he's just not, and now we're seeing Jordan make freshman mistakes that he really hasn't made this year.
Yeah.
So you just have to hope that the my bads and the freshmanitis and all that stuff is worked out now somehow, and that starting next week we get we get the Jordan that we've had most of the year.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to believe, but I guess it's possible. Anything can happen. I
Hard
guess
to
the one thing
believe that
about
it'll happen. I don't think that's
that
true.
that he's just not going to have the fresh moment. Well, I
I
mean,
don't
I
think
hope I'm
that's
wrong.
true. I don't think
Okay.
that's true because he's shown it for most of the season. If anything, it could be, and I don't know this. We're not close enough to it to know for sure. But I'll tell you, sometimes what ends up happening, particularly to freshmen who are experiencing the grind of playing at the Big Ten level for the first time, is yes, there's physical tiredness, but there's also mental exhaustion.
Oh yeah.
And he's had some mental mistakes that we have not seen
Yeah.
all
Right.
year. So that says something to me. Could the fact that they're going to get a couple extra days do him some good? Yeah, it could. So I'm not ready to fold the tent on that at all. It's just we've got to call it what it's been.
Sure.
But I don't think that means either or both of those guys can't respond to that. We won't be sitting here a week from now talking about how great they both were. It's entirely possible.
One last thing, Jordan. Michigan State's down, I don't know, 10, 12 points sometime, like they were most of the second half. Jeremy Pierce goes in for a blow. Instead of Woj coming in, they leave Jordan at the point. I guess the question to you from me is that something you think we'll see more of? Or do you think that was just like, well, they're down, so they want to try and they need some scoring out there
I sure
they
hope
need
not.
defense?
I
don't know. I mean, or do you think just because
it didn't work. It didn't work.
It didn't help. Yeah.
No, it didn't work. I mean, they were negative. Strictly speaking, and what did they play at like 30 seconds, 45 seconds? They were negative on it.
Probably, yeah.
So they had a turnover that turned into easy points, right? I think that's how it went.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was Trey Fort, I think, had the turnover, if I remember correctly. No, it couldn't have been him. Anyway, no, I sure hope not. I was surprised to see it. I was actually, by getting to that point in the game, I figured they were going to ride the whole 20 with Jeremy.
I thought they were just.
They did it at the under. Yeah. They did it at like what was 9 minutes left.
Yeah,
and they were trying to get to the under 8. They didn't do it at the under 12 where you normally see it. They waited.
Right.
And Michigan State, correct me if I'm wrong, had gotten it down to 5 at that point. I think they had.
They did it so many times to get down to 5 or 4 and then be back to 7 or 10 again.
I want to say that was one of them.
Could be.
And it did not work. So I hope that's the end of that. Honestly, if you're giving me the choice between that or Denim Wojcik, I'm taking Denim Wojcik.
I actually thought,
and it's okay to experiment because this tournament doesn't mean anything.
Well, right,
so
exactly.
Okay. I'm not bothered by it. It's a whatever from me.
Yeah,
it's not a whatever if we see it again on Thursday or Friday.
Sure,
and it's not a whatever, but today it's a whatever.
Yeah, I thought actually that Izzo was just kind of folding up the tent, just saying, "Yeah, we'll just kind of just ride this and see what this is going to be like for a while, and just kind of not worry about the game anymore."
That was it because they got Jeremy.
No, clearly it wasn't. Yeah, clearly it wasn't. I thought maybe that was what that was a signal for, and it clearly was not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Would it have surprised me if maybe Denham had played like 10 minutes in this game? No, I thought that was possible. Clearly that didn't happen. So Izzo wanted to win this game at least. That's the other thing. And I'll just get this off my chest and then we can move on with the rest of the players. What I talked about this on Jack Ebling's show today was we talked about, well, what happens? You know, he's listened to this enough that he knows my theory. And I think he agrees largely with the idea that this doesn't mean very much. And what's more important is that Michigan State doesn't run its guys down in this event. That's a disaster.
Right.
And he mentioned, would it, you know what? I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Check that. Let's just move on. I'm tired of talking. I guess to wrap it up is the problem that Michigan State has in an event like this is it's fine for me and everybody else to look at it. And those of us who think, this isn't worth right down. But Tom Izzo is a competitor. And if you put a game in front of him that he's in, he wants to win it. And I think that's what you saw tonight. Like there's no good reason strategically why you should play Jeremy Fears 37 minutes tonight. None.
Right.
It's every minute he's out there is a minute he could get hurt in a game that doesn't mean much, and you're taking something out of him. That would have only been compounded if they'd gotten to tomorrow or, God forbid, to Sunday, and double God forbid, it's Michigan there, which was my big worry. And I said that on Jack's show, is that if they get to that game and it's Michigan, probably if it's anybody, but especially if it's Michigan and they're in a championship game, he's going to feel compelled to throw everything at it. And
of course,
with it looking very likely that they'll be in a Thursday, Saturday pod, that seems to be the consensus that they're going to be in Buffalo. We'll see if
Buffalo, right.
It might not be true, but it seems to be likely from what I'm seeing, the scuttlebutt. That's a disaster. That's an absolute disaster to have a Sunday, Thursday turnaround when you don't have depth at your most critical position with your most important player, and you've just played him 35 plus minutes on 3 straight days.
Yeah.
So in a sense, this year, I'm kind of glad that decision got taken away.
Right. It's out of his hands. Right. Exactly. Continue on real quick. Carson Cooper, 13 points, 4 for 7 for the field, 5 for 6 from the line, 5 rebounds, 1 offensive, had an assist, a steal. Boy, I felt like he missed more than 3 shots, but I guess he missed. It's sort of like when you're down and you have to make every single shot.
Hyped.
Sorry about the noise in the background. It just seems like you just remember those more. Yeah.
Yes. No, his misses were bad misses. That's for sure. Wow, you got something going on there. They're shutting down.
Yeah, they're just tearing down the vent over here. So yeah, that's the possible lobby.
His misses were bad misses. He was missing stuff at the rim. He also made a bad decision late where he had like a 5-foot hook shot and decided instead to try to pass it to Cohen Carr under the rim. And it was when they were scrambling to come back and they were still alive, ended up as a turnover. His decision making, he had one, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He got the ball maybe at the top of the key and was unguarded. And he dribbled in a couple of steps and went up with a floater. We've never seen him take that shot all year. And there's a good reason why. He's not Jeremy Fears.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to Carson in this game in terms of the decision making at times. I also think he wasn't nearly what he usually is defensively. He wasn't good in pick and roll either. But 13 points, he was reasonably productive, I guess. So it was okay, but not a great game.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jeremy, where the numbers look like he was more or less his usual self. But if you watch the game, that wasn't entirely true.
Cohen Carr, 12 points, 5 for 9 from the field. Hit his 1-3 that hit the hand grenade. Apparently, when he doesn't have to think about the 3, he can make them.
Yeah.
1 for 3 from the line, 8 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. He was a beast in the boards, 3 assists, a turnover. Played just 28 minutes. So in that sense, I think you're probably happy that he didn't have to spend a lot of energy in this game.
He did some good things in this game.
Yeah.
What he didn't do was defend well.
Yeah, well,
no one did. That's the letdown. If he defended more along the lines of his seasonal defense, then I would have been able to say, yeah, pretty good game from Cohen. But he didn't. Everything else, the way he attacked 5 offensive rebounds, that's impressive, no matter who you're playing against.
Yeah,
he did a job there. He hit that 1-3. I think his mindset in trying to attack the rim was good in this game. He had 3 dunks. And the most impressive to me was, obviously the reverse where he went over Cooper early in the game.
Oh, the last one where he drove in and dunked.
That's the one I liked.
I bet he had 4 dunks. Maybe he
did. Maybe he did.
He had 2 in a row, and then he had that one on the break, the alley-oop, and then he had that one where he drove in. Yeah.
He might have. But the one you're talking about where he drove, that was the one I liked best.
Yep, me too.
Because if Cohen Carr could do that more often, then you're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
The transition stuff is great. I don't mean to, that's important too, but the penetration and just physically overwhelming somebody, that's what you want to see.
Yeah. Kurtang finished with 13 points, 4 for 11 from the field, which 3 for 8 of those were from 3, 2 for 3 from the line, had an offensive rebound. an assist, 2 turnovers, played 26 minutes. So he played a lot. I mainly just need him for shooting. I mean, I feel confident in that he's usually going to shoot about 35% or so from three. So that's what you want from him. And so I think he managed that. You obviously want more defense, but I think he just is what he is at this point this season.
Look, they needed the shooting because they were down by enough that they needed somebody who was going to come in and get them 3 at a time. And he hit 3 of them. So he did some good work there. And 13 points, that's reasonable offensive production. But I mentioned a couple of really awful turnovers when they were big, when Michigan State
later in when they were kind of
really mattered. He had a terrible entry pass, I think to Coop. They just had no chance. So Donovan Dent, I understand why he was trying to do it because Coop has Donovan Dent guarding him. But it was so late that okay, you got to know you're giving this guy a chance to react, and he's quick. He's probably going to be able to get around Coop. And that's exactly what happened. You just got to have that feel. And he did. And defensively, he was like everybody else.
Yeah. Cam Ward, 3 points, split his free throws, hit his one layup, 4 rebounds, 3 more offensive, and just played 11 minutes. But he was clearly, and sort of from a matchup standpoint, he just wasn't, he wasn't able to get done, and he wasn't able to give him enough offense. He really struggled to get those post entries. And
it's unfortunate because I think, Izzo spent some time talking about how much it hurt them to have Cam in early foul trouble in the Michigan game because they really thought he could be a jack of all trades defensively. And he's shown that at times this year. He's athletic enough and he's responsible enough that he can guard different types of players. But it was for as much as Coop and Jack struggled defensively, Cam really struggled defensively.
Yeah.
That's why he only played 11 minutes.
Right. And more of a surprising one, and this maybe is a reflection also of the fact that Michigan State wants to win, but it was a Big Ten tournament game. You have Trey Fort, played 13 minutes, had 8 points, 3 for 5 from the field, hit both his 3-point attempts. I think the first one he hit was the one that they just kind of left him open. He's just like, well, I guess I'll shoot. Made it. And then he just started cooking from there, had a rebound, an assist, a block, no turnovers.
I will say this about him. He wasn't markedly worse than everybody else.
No, he wasn't.
That does not mean he was better. There was one play, UCLA ended up hitting a 3 out of it, where he was absolutely at a loss for who he was supposed to be guarding. He wasn't guarding anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how in mid-March that can happen, but in that moment, you saw why have they not tried to utilize him more? That's it.
Yeah.
Now today, they needed the minutes, and they needed, they gave him more of a leash because he was actually scoring. Before he hit that first 3, he was 1 for 7 on his last 7 3-point attempts.
Right.
So when he's doing that, he's not giving you any reason to play him. Today, he gave them a reason to give him some minutes because he did hit some shots when they needed points. But, again, the problem is sometimes you can get points and at least passable defense out of Kurtang. I've yet to see the game where that's been the case for Trey Ford, and that's the problem.
Exactly.
But he did hit. I'll tell you what, if they had pulled off the comeback, we would have been talking about how important Trey's offense was, because it was.
Right. Yeah,
it
was.
Shots where they absolutely needed it, where it was critical. So give him that.
And finally, the game was lost with the 2 minutes that Denim Mojic played. He was 0 for 2 from the field, had 1 rebound, had 1 turnover. So there's not much to say about his performance. I thought he was just what he is.
As I'm sure there are a lot of Michigan State fans who would hate me for saying it. Maybe they should have played him a couple minutes more.
I don't disagree with you.
Maybe 5 or 10 minutes more. I don't know, but definitely.
Definitely be fine with me. I'm sure. I'm sure in the back of their mind they had hoped they could have gotten to working margin where they could have played him a few more minutes, and obviously
that would have been ideal. If you had a repeat of the first game,
yes,
seen it.
Exactly.
I bet the house, but obviously it was a complete opposite of that.
Well, you can certainly bet the house if you want your windows cleaned that you're not going to get better service if you go to Squeegee Squad at Grand Rapids. Make sure you contact Troy and his team. 15% off simply by mentioning Final Four. Of course, you can find ways to contact Troy and his team wherever you are in the state of Michigan. Give them a call. Just find out. He might be able to take care of things. Go to your support page at tffinots.com/support to get the necessary links. Which brings us to the 5 keys to the game, brought to you by Nudge Printing. If you need really cool apparel like what I'm wearing right now, this hoodie, which I definitely need in Chicago, where it's like there's a reason they call it the Windy City. I guess it was blustery. It felt like a fall day. You can go over to nudgeprinting.com/win. There you can enter the free drawing, and that's all the way through the end of this month for a Spartan Sparty golf hat. It's really cool. Check it out. Of course, when you're at the nudgeprinting.com/win, you can see our stuff, and you can also head on over to Nudge and get any of their other apparel. There's always new products coming out all the time. There's tons of stuff, spring things, new sports, new branding. So check it out at nudgeprinting.com. Don't forget that you get 20% off simply by typing in TFF at checkout. Okay, so the first key of the game was attack the rim, which I guess you could say they did. They didn't do it very effectively. Now they finished 43% from 2, which is, at one point I think they were like 8 for 30, and then they got a lot of late layups by Jeremy that kind of drive
that down the stretch.
Yeah.
Helped, yeah. But that just tells you how awful it was.
They were horrendous before that point. So
and I, for the life of me, I don't understand it, and there's no good excuse for it. Was UCLA more physical than they typically are? Yes. They were anytime the ball entered the post, they had multiple guys swarming it. They played the way I'm sure Mick Cronin wishes he'd seen more of this year. Really?
Probably so. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to be better than Michigan State was. It was awful.
Yeah.
And again, I think the biggest problem was guys just looked rushed. They looked out of sync. They were taking. We talked about Coop with a couple of his shot attempts were just, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Jeremy had a couple of those too.
He wasn't the only one. Right.
Yeah.
So you can't have that.
Yep.
And I think, as I mentioned, Michigan State did an okay job getting to the line. Not great, but okay. But Jeremy didn't really put them under pressure until the second half. And by then, UCLA had a working margin. And it was another one of these scenarios where it's like you're trying to climb the mountain and climb the mountain and climb the mountain. And you get close, but you can't quite get over the top. You're maybe not having to climb that whole mountain if Michigan State had been a little bit better in terms of its execution. And that really comes down to their inability to finish around the rim. It was terrible. That's not a good defensive team on the interior at all. That is not a shot blocking team. None of those things. And yet they struggled the way they struggled. I mean, how many minutes was that team out there with Eric Daly and the Munchkins? And Michigan State can't punish them? I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, they were actually better with him than they were when they put Booker in. It's get some size inside.
Absolutely. From a UCLA perspective, 100%, because it made them very difficult to deal with offensively. We saw that. But if you're Michigan State, you can't find a better way to attack that. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that Michigan State had 12 turnovers. I don't see this very often. All 12 are steals. That's something you don't see very often.
Well, yeah. And again, you do have to, if you're going to be fair, you got to give some credit to UCLA, because I have seen enough of UCLA this year to know that's not how they play. Not this season. And they're never, Mick Cronin's thing is not about turnover creation anyway, defensively. It's not his philosophy. Right. But they were active and played with urgency and toughness, all of those good things that we normally associate with Michigan State, UCLA played with tonight. And so I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that was the number.
Second key to the game is the boards. Here, Michigan State had overall rebounding advantage of 34-26, although you kind of expect more than that. 16-6 edge in offensive rebounding. Michigan State with a 47% offensive rebounding rate, which is fantastic. UCLA with a 25%, which is, and then as far as second chance points, 23-6 edge for Michigan State. You look at that. I mean, you probably expect Michigan State to win this game pretty easily.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it just shows you.
And doubly so if you tell me that they shoot almost 50% from three.
Right.
I would have
Yeah.
figured this game would have looked a lot like the first one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, it didn't feel that way to me on the boards, but the numbers are what they are. So I can't, far be it from me to say, well, they didn't do the job. They dominated. They dominated the way we talked about, that they needed to do a similar job in the defensive glass to what they did in the first game. Well, they did that, but they needed to be much better than they were in the first game on the offensive boards, and they were. A lot of that came in the second half. Michigan State, I haven't seen the splits, but I just know watching that game, a lot of their offensive rebounding came in the second half, because there were stretches of that first half where there was a lot of one and done. And so they did play harder with more urgency, more toughness, more effort in the second half. But again, too little, too goddamn late.
Yeah, actually, it looks like they had 8 offensive rebounds in the first half and 8 in the second.
Really?
Which surprised me. Yeah,
I'm wrong. It didn't.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
I'm curious. Do you probably don't have a split?
I can't get a split for second chance point
Yeah.
splits. I can't get that. That'd be my question too, and I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. It's not that important. This game doesn't mean it much. So really,
third key of the game. Third key of the game, guarding the arc. I think we just said, well, they didn't. 48%, 13 for 27 for UCLA. Every time Michigan State needed to get a stop, they kind of stopped the penetration and they give up a 3. They didn't stop they stopped the 3. They give up the penetration for a 2. So
it was an abysmal performance, because UCLA hit shots, but if you watch that game, it's not
like they were hitting tough shots.
Right. Wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open, because Michigan State's defense continually, that is exactly how you draw it up when you say, how do I want my offense to function via penetration? That is exactly what you were looking for. You get a defense contracting and then trying to rotate around to make sure they're covering guys that end up open as a result of all that contraction. And Michigan State could not do that.
Yeah, there's so many shooters on the floor for UCLA. It makes it easy. They got Perry and Sky Clark. Clark was 6 for 11 from 3. So then the fourth key of the game. Yeah, fourth key of the game was transition. This was actually a tie, 10-10, and that was largely due to the 12 turnovers that are all steals. They gave UCLA some opportunities to get some stuff going in transition.
I'm not shocked that UCLA kept that in check, but I am disappointed. That's another area you can ding Jeremy a little bit. I didn't think he played with enough urgency trying to push tempo in the first half. You saw they timed it. I think it was the second to last basket he scored from the floor in the game. He scored it in 3 seconds. End to end. I understand UCLA is just basically standing there, not wanting to give up a 3, not wanting to foul. But he covered 94 feet in 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's got to be there in the first half. Not that he needs to go the whole 94 feet, but you get my point.
Yes. Has to be moving that fast. Fifth and final key to the game. The most important key probably is health. And Michigan State, as far as we can tell, came out of the game totally healthy, unlike UCLA, which unfortunately may have suffered an injury that is going to wreck the end of their season.
That's that's the thing. Now, if you're UCLA, realistically, what kind of hopes did you have to make a deep run? But anytime you're in the tournament, it's possible. So they were an 11th seed, made all the way to the They made Final Four from the play-in game to the Final Four.
So who knows?
But I will say, if you're looking long term, meaning next week, you feel better being Michigan State than you do UCLA coming out of this. If it's going to be something that impacts Bilodeau next week. Now, if they're just going to be cautious with them, and that's why they didn't play them in the second half, and they didn't need to, honestly, and it might have derailed them with the way they had it going with that 4-guard lineup. But if they get him back, okay. But the fact that they're even dealing with it is a big. And so that's the only good thing to come out of this for Michigan State is that they didn't see anybody get hurt.
All right, so that brings us to the Michigan State Player of the Game, brought to you by Fanduel. Again, a reminder that head over to Fanduel on the App Store, add it. You can go ahead and start betting right away on, I guess, the conference tournaments if you still want to, but certainly you can start getting action coming on Sunday. When you start getting matchups, you can start betting all those games and all the parlays and money lines. And of course, Player of the Game for Michigan State. It was as uninspiring. We didn't have any votes from our fans, not surprisingly.
Okay. Well,
and so it's up to you to decide who you have as a player. I mean, I could choose too. I mean, I guess I would pick Cohen Carr just because I think, he wasn't great defensively, but no one was. But I thought the effort he put forth, I think the things we saw from him offensively were impressive, and the rebounding was what we like to see too. And that if we see a little bit more of that, I'm pretty happy. So I'd go with Cohen Carr.
It's a defensible choice.
That's all I shoot for.
I will go with Jeremy Fears reluctantly, but I'll tell you, there's a part of me that wants to give it to Trey Ford.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'll say Jeremy because even with the flaws, 21-13 is 21-13. He did do some really important things very well. He just didn't defend the way he needs to.
After sitting through all these games at Big Ten Tournament, I will say there have been some huge assist games from players, which, the multiple ones with double digits.
That's reflective of the Big Ten is actually really deep if you look at it in high-level point guard play.
Yeah.
Because you had the top two guys in the country, right? I think it ended that way with Fears and Smith.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Dent wasn't even close. He averaged 7.5 assists per game. That would win the Big Ten assist crown 9 out of 10 years. And he was third. I think he was third.
Right. Yeah, probably so.
You can keep going. You could, guys like Cadeau is not great, but he's been solid for Michigan. Certainly hasn't been bad. Bennett Sturts, Bruce Thornton. I mean, you go up and even you get down to guys like Tariq Francis has had a really good year. The league has been absolutely loaded. Hoiberg. I mean, the league has been absolutely loaded. Keaton Wagler. I can keep going. It's been absolutely loaded. It's one of the best point guard years in a long, long time in this league. So I guess I'm not surprised because there's so many who are, if they're not the best player for their team, they're right there.
All right. So we're going to sign off here in just a moment. Just a quick reminder, of course, you can head to our support page, find all our great sponsors of the show, the Brothers Justin Gutters, Nudge Printing, Squeegee Squad of Grand Rapids, Fanduel, and also, of course, ways to support the show on Patreon or Substack or one-time gifts via PayPal or Venmo. We'd appreciate that. It helps us keep the content going. We will be
should we actually talk about Fanduel because we didn't get the official line, right?
We did not
have it this morning.
The official line was Michigan State. I think it was 5.5, wasn't it?
Okay. Well, they didn't come close to covering.
No. We never had the line.
The over under, I think, didn't you say was 171?
Oh, it was 142.5. Yes,
142.5. I'm sorry.
They blasted the over. Yeah.
Right. Blasted it. And I would have never seen that coming.
Yeah, two teams you think were defensive, right?
Well, yeah, you just would have figured Michigan State is going to make it tough on UCLA to score efficiently, and UCLA is going to play slow to try and hang in there, and neither of those things happened. So, yeah, it wasn't even close. If you bet the over, congrats.
So we will be live, I think. So Sunday, I got to get back from Chicago, so we'll have our selection show. I think we're going to try and get Dom on for a portion of that to talk and see how he did in his prediction and his brackets. We'll go through the brackets and then just sort of that's a general sort of assessment of where we think people are going to do. How, I think Raul will give us initial projections. Then we'll be back on probably Tuesday and we'll do our pregame for whoever Michigan State's matchup is against. So make sure you tune in for those. And then also, as a reminder, of course, you can go, if you've not yet had an opportunity to, you can go to TIFNuts/contest. There you can click the pool host and try and join our bracket challenge. There will be prizes from Nudge gift cards as well, as always. If you've already done in the past, make sure you fill out your bracket. You should get that emailed to you at some point, probably from pool host. So just watch your email box for that. So sign off now. And from the last time I have to deal with this hotel Wi-Fi. So until next time, the Final Four is not on the schedule. Go green.